So we're going to talk about Xenothreat now. I'm going to start with my observations on Xenothreat. And this may be unpopular, and please hear me out. I'm not trying to be shitty. I'm just going to call it like I see it, okay? Because I tell you the truth, like it or not. I hope you love me, but if you, at the very least, you can't call me a liar. Xenothreat version 1 was dog shit. It just was not great. And there was a couple of reasons. Number one, they were trying to figure out pieces and put it together and sort of make it work. They were testing a big new thing for a first sort of time, whatever. And lastly, the biggest thing that I did not like about Xenothreat version 1 is that it was 3 or 4 days of repeat this loop of go to the broken ships, get boxes, bring it back, whether it's quantum sensitive, this one is time, this one is whatever, but get the stuff, bring it back, and load up this ship, we're going to repair the ship, we're going to repair this ship, we're going to repair this ship, we're going to repair the ship. You would do it over and over and over, and the ship would never get repaired. And then a week later, it was like, oh, okay, we're going to turn this on for 2 days where you do the ship battle. That sucks. It's not fun. It's not cool. It's not good. Xenothreat version 2, they married the two parts together. They learned a ton of shit from the version 1 of the event. They smoothed out the rough edges, put the polishes in there. But the biggest thing, let's be honest, just the reason why Xenothreat version 1 sucked and Xenothreat version 2 is great is because they put the two together. You now have repair the ship, okay, the ship's repaired, let's take it, we're gonna go fight. That's awesome. That's a kick in the pants right there. That's good stuff. So, like, I kind of feel that a lot of people saw Ninetales version 1 as sort of underwhelming. And they were like, this sucks. How come? And I kind of look at it and go like, hey guys, did you not see Xenothreat? Like, I kind of think Ninetales version 1 was going to be a lot of stuff they need to learn, a lot of rough edges to polish out, them, you know, again, they're the baby steps phase of this stuff. And I think Ninetales version 2 is going to be polished and better put together, and you're going to be able to find medical supplies without wanting to murder somebody. And it's going to be a much better... Oh, look, the Cartual ship just went by. That's my favorite ship. Mwah. I think it's going to be a good time. And I think that we're going to see this Infiltrator. We know nothing about it other than the name. Infiltrator version 1, I would bet money is going to kind of suck. And Infiltrator version 2 will be awesome. I think if we get to the point where the version 2s suck or are worse than the version 1s, that's a time to be concerned. Where we're at right now is, keep in mind, Star Citizen, as I just said, they were building the tools that let them build the loops. They've more or less done with the tools, and now the loops are coming together. Version 2, so that's where... Now they're at phase 2 or phase whatever, where they're now building out the loops. This Xenothreat, Infiltrator, Ninetales, those aren't features. Those are content, which is the next level out. Keep in mind, Star Citizen, as good as they are, and these guys are fucking geniuses at building the tools, and now we're seeing more and more they're getting to genius level at building the features, the game loops. They're still baby steps at building the content, at building the polished stuff that uses the features and the tools to make a fun experience. I think probably, you know, Infiltrator version 1 will suck, Infiltrator version 2 will be good. Infiltrator, or the thing that comes after Infiltrator version 1 will suck, and the thing whatever. And then after they get to 10, 12 of these down the line, they will have evolved to the point where the version 1s of these don't suck anymore. They're actually good. But like, I just look at this whole thing as a process, and when I look at the difference in how good Xenothreat V2 is compared to Xenothreat V1, I am full of hope for Ninetales V2, for Infiltrator V2, for other stuff as it goes. So now that I've spewed my thoughts on all of you, let's go around. Let's start with the guests and work our way up the cast. How about we start with Paul? Your thoughts on this?
I mean, I thought Xenothreat. Okay, so I actually made my own. Like after Xenothreat version 1 came out, I sat down and I wrote my own thoughts out, and I produced a video as a feedback for CIG. Like, hey, this is what you did right. This is what you did wrong. And essentially, what my theory is, and I think they listened at least to some of not just my suggestions, but everyone's suggestions, is that CIG has a pacing problem when it comes to stories and to gameplay. And that's just because they've not really done this before, if that makes sense. They just really haven't done events at this scale before. Mm-hmm. And Agreed. So when they released the new Xenothreat, it felt like they'd taken a lot of that under advisement. And it's important to remember that these events are going to be triggerable events in the future. So
triggerable by the quantum.
By the quantum or by themselves if they want to make a special event. Yeah. And so like likely you won't necessarily see a Xenothreat all the time, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see the exact same mission of Xenothreat done, but in a different system or at a different location or with a different main antagonist, just because that's the way the systems are being built. So, and you can see the future with this, between this and the Ninetales, and then we've got Jumptown 2 coming out, plus we've got all these different missions coming out. 100%. CIG is going to start churning these out once a patch, twice a patch, 3 times a patch. Everyone will get events. It's the Oprah of events. Everyone's going to be getting something. Mm-hmm. And you're right. I think it's learning. The first couple times they're going to do it, it's not going to work well. And as they learn, they get better. It'll get better, and eventually it'll stick. But this is content. I 100% think this is content. This is what we want. So
absolutely.
Astro question. Yeah, it's like more of a question. Do you think they will allow it to be something that players can trigger through some kind of so that's going to be like some kind of coming from Elite, like some kind of BGS background simulation thing that you can affect, and that's going to trigger that. Okay,
100%. Except, go ahead.
They already have that background. It's called their reputation system. You can actually access it now in game. We're using I think it's Osiris system or something like that in your mobile glass. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But they've even said they could give chairs reputation levels if they wanted to at this point. So the system is in the background. Now all they're going to do is merge the system with their events system, and they've got it done. They're doing a bunch of other things in the background. But yeah, 100%, they're going to make it so that if a group of players decide, let's flip this station, or let's cause some chaos at this station, then suddenly a lockdown happens, or an invasion happens, or something like that happens, and suddenly the entire system is like, oh, something's going on at Heavenly Dream Station. Let's go figure out what's going on. So yeah, that's definitely in their plans.
So to put a little more color to that answer for you, Astro, yes and no. Yes, what Paul just said is absolutely true. It will be part of like the BGS, the background system. But the qualified partial no is you have to keep in mind, they've already told us that their intended way that their BGS system, which they call Quantum, is going to work is that for every player out there like addressing it or affecting the BGS, there's going to be 9 NPCs, 9 quantum that are affecting it. So it's kind of yes, kind of like, but like not directly in the sense of like you're a pebble in the ocean and you don't just on your own decide to move the whole whatever. There's going to be massive amounts of players, and if you do a thing, even if you get together a large group of players to do a thing, you're going to affect the background system. That background system is going to affect all these NPCs who have weighted decisions of their risk takers versus they're not, their law followers versus they're not, their combat guys versus they're not, and like all of those. So like you may push in one way and end up through a complex series of systems that you can't even sort of comprehend, much less account for, cause a tidal wave going the other way. Who knows how it's all gonna end up playing out, So your thoughts on Xenothreat, Astro?
As I said before, I actually think the first iteration was okay, as an event. I would definitely agree that I like the format they have here better. And again, as I said, the whole thing with the clouds, that I wish they would have put it in a place where we wouldn't necessarily have to have such a systematic environment to play the event in. Because especially with now that it is the combat part where it is a little bit more fast paced, it is really putting a strain on system resources.
All right, Roy, your thoughts on Xenothreat? Just as a concept, I get that you haven't played it this week, but whatever.
Well, yeah, I'm very eager to try it right after the show. I cede my floor time to the gentleman with the new PC.
Here it comes. Everybody, go make yourself a sandwich. Tweaked. Tell us your thoughts.
My thoughts are, my experience in Xenothreat last night may have been the single most exciting gaming experience I've had. And again, I'll preface that by saying I've been playing video games my whole life, since Space Invaders and Pac-Man. To set the stage, the way this worked out was I was there in my Cuddy Black, and some friends pulled up in a Carrack. Some good friends pulled up in a Carrack and said, hey, EVA over to us. So I parked, I EVA'd from my ship to theirs, which, mind you, still mind-blowing to me. And then we proceeded to find a ship that had been destroyed, and we parked under that, and then we used our cool little guns with the tractor beams and got all the cargo out. We did that whole thing. And that was all a great time. We had to clear out the bad guys on the ship before we could do that, so that was fun. But then the third phase started, and the space battle began, and oh my freaking god. You had ships everywhere. Yeah, you were in the clouds. You had multiple cap ships fighting each other, multiple cap ships you had to take out. Everywhere I looked, there was a player. Not an NPC, a player. So think a CZ, a conflict zone in Elite Dangerous, the old, the space conflict zones. Except for all those NPCs are actual players. I've never experienced anything like that before. Everywhere I looked, there was another player, and it was running well. There was one time my FPS dropped to about 15 or 20, and then it shot right back up into the 40s. And the explosions on every side, the gun on my turret, one of the guns on my turret got blown off, and it shook the hell out of the turret. Absolutely amazing experience, a ton of fun. I made a ton of credits. And I will be partaking again as many times as I can this weekend. Good times.
Yeah, guys, I'm sorry for everybody out there. I'll work with Tweaked. We're definitely gonna make sure. I need to try to get him to open up a little bit and tell me about Star Citizen. He's holding it all in, and we're gonna work on that. I promise you.